I'm Richard Randall, and welcome back to Your Real Estate Voice with Barb Schlinker. Barb is the voice, and this is the weekly radio show that informs and educates you on how to buy or sell real estate with Barb Schlinker, the owner of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. Barb, I've been with you on the show now for about 4 years and often hear you speak about how bad real estate agents actually try to derail real estate sales. What are some of the red flags that home sellers need to be prepared for, and how can they prevent bad real estate agents from sabotaging the sale of their home?
Well, I think part of it is that, the whole real estate industry in this state, and it's probably true in other states, that they created this term called fiduciary, right? So if you have a client that signed an agreement with you to solely work with you, they tell you we have to put their needs ahead of our own. And the problem is some of these agents take it too far. Plus, they don't even find out what their needs are. They just show up and try to make themselves look like experts by criticizing people's homes while they're showing the home. How do they know the buyer doesn't love the home, right? They think that most real estate agents are, quote, experts, right? So if the expert comes in and starts giving their unfounded opinions about things, many times wrong opinions, they could actually convince a buyer not to buy a house. And to me, it's crazy. I mean, think about it. Their job is to sell. It's not to create demand destruction for the home, yet they show up and they criticize it. They say things like, oh, this thing won't be approved for FHA or VA financing because it has peeling paint on the outside, or it needs work, or this is my favorite, that home is priced too high. It's like, come on, who are you? You've only sold less than 3 homes a year. How do you know if it's priced right or not? So I call these agents the sales prevention business agents. And the problem is, the consumers don't know. They think that we're all experts. They have no idea what kind of experience or background that we have. Everybody actually has a different background. I've been here in the business, I don't know, I was told since 96, that's a long time. I think you could have years of experience, but if you don't have very many sales, you don't have a lot of depth of experience as far as experiences to rely upon to help your clients. Let me give an example. There is a whole lot of myth and mystery out there about whether or not a house qualifies for an FHA or VA loan. So these are government-backed loans in which the borrower has these are government-backed loans in which the borrower can submit a lower than normal down payment. So the traditional world is you would put 20% down. But with a VA loan, you can buy multi-million-dollar property and put 0 down, and it's perfectly fine. And the interest rate is probably lower than conventional rates. And what happens is the government guarantees that if the borrower forecloses, they're going to make the lender whole. That's the whole point behind that. The FHA loan is also very similar in that they only have to put 3.5% down, or if they're getting down payment assistance, they can put as little as $1,000 down. But some of these agents have this weird perception that if the home has a few condition issues, that it won't be approved for financing. And that's an absolute myth. That is not true. So the truth is that when a borrower is getting an FHA or a VA loan, the real criteria is that the plumbing has to be functional. So they're going to run the faucet, that the house doesn't have any major safety issues. And the other items are no broken windows, no missing outlet covers, no missing stair rails, no trip hazards on the outside. Sometimes if the house has a big, deep window well that's uncovered, they will tag that. And the biggest thing, the most common thing that we see is peeling paint on the outside. All of these are fixable, but it doesn't say the seller has to fix it. Why can't the buyer fix it? And I've had that happen before. I actually had a buyer that we knew the house as it was didn't qualify for a VA loan. and the seller was moving into an assisted living facility. He was unwilling to fix anything, but what we negotiated was for the buyer to fix it sufficient so it would pass VA, and that buyer got a beautiful home with a detached garage on 7 acres at a very low price because he was willing to do that to make it happen. That is negotiating, and that's something not too many agents know how to do. The other thing that agents do is they'll go in there and they'll stand there and look at the house and tell the buyer, well, this home is not worth what they're asking, which is crazy. I don't know that they really study the market. But unfortunately, right now, all along the Front Range, the statistics don't lie. 81% of agents sell 3 or less homes a year. How in the world would they know what a home is worth? Are they trying to make themselves look good in front of the buyer? The problem is they may talk the buyer out of putting a deal together, out of making an offer because their agent didn't think it was worth that much. And these agents all do this under this pretense of, quote, fiduciary. And I guarantee you when they walk in and say stuff like that about a house, they haven't really done their research about what similar sales are representing. Here's another area that they do what I call the sales sabotaging business or sales prevention business, is they cause contract failures over inspections. So the assumption is when you get a contract, at least from many agents' perspective, when you get a home under contract, the buyer goes and does their inspection, and that's their opportunity to get more stuff. Okay, but that's really not what it is. It's to do their due diligence and make sure the home and the systems are functional. I could understand if there is something broken to ask for that to be fixed, right? But that's not what we do with our clients. We make sure that they know prior to going on the market if they have any issues that they have to deal with. And that's called our Certified Pre-Owned Home Program. My name is Barb Schlinker. I am the host of Your Real Estate Voice, and my company's name is Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. So if you are thinking of making a move and you'd like to get a private in-home consultation on what to do, what not to do to get your house ready for sale, give us a call at 719-301-3900. We'll also go over what we think a buyer would pay for your home. We'll also help you prevent bad agents from derailing your transaction. And then you can also find us on barbhasthebuyers.com. Now, we know that probably 1 in 5 contracts could fail over inspections, but sellers really shouldn't have to worry about things like building code. That doesn't typically derail the deal. But unfortunately, in the state of Colorado, there's no license for inspectors. It doesn't exist. Many of them will get what's called an online certification. I don't know if that makes home sellers feel any better. Does it make you feel better, Richard?
It doesn't. It's amazing to me that you can just go out there and be an inspector. I could start doing it tomorrow. Just print up some cards and there I go.
There you go. You could judge people's houses. But some of the things that, because we have the depth of experience, we're able to help our sellers and prepare our sellers for things that they might have to worry about. Like, it seems like 1 out of 3 homes that we list has a problem with hail damage on the roof. The other thing that we see quite often in the older homes is that they put in a brand of electrical panel that almost always gets flagged on the inspection. Again, it's a negotiation. It's just that if you go online and you read about the Federal Pacific Electric panel, people will think that their house is going to burn down tomorrow. And that's not necessarily the case, but at least they know it's coming and they can plan for that and they can get bids. When they do an inspection objection, which is a part of the contract process, it's basically telling the home seller, if you don't fix these things, we're going to walk away from the deal. And sellers hate that, right? Because they think they've sold their home as is, right? They think they're going to take it as is, that they love it, that they want it, right? But then they do their inspection, and this is the opportunity for the agents to try their hand at negotiating. And there's a whole lot of call their bluff game that goes on during this period. It's really quite fun. Sometimes I get frustrated, especially if I feel like the agent's just doing it to get stuff. Sometimes they make a mistake and they release intel that gives me an indication it's not the buyer, it's actually the agent trying to get stuff. Let me give you an example. One of the things the inspector does, some of these inspectors will carry what's called a thermal device, right? It's this little device that they point towards drywall, and it shows different colors, and it will indicate temperature. But they will use that information and tell their buyer, oh, there's a leak behind that wall. And so I had this older couple, they were selling their home. Right before the inspection started, they had just taken the shower. So he gets his thermal thing and runs it across the drywall and says, oh, there's a leak behind that wall. So they had to spend money on plumbing, a plumber to come out and say, there's nothing wrong, there's no leak. So that's the kind of stuff that we have to deal with day after day on inspections. And how could I tell the agents asking for stuff? Typically, if I don't see it in writing from the buyer, then I'm definitely gonna kind of wonder what's going on. So just yesterday, I told 2 of them, nope, we've already given you our answer. And if you don't like it, the contract ends tonight and we'll put the house back on the market. There's low inventory. We are sure we're going to find another buyer with those beautiful homes. And lo and behold, both of them agreed. Isn't that funny, Richard?
I like having you representing me, is what I know.
Anyway, so that's kind of how it works. And that's why you really want to make sure that you get an agent that is prepared to go over things like, have you prepared for that experience? Because once you accept a contract, in the seller's mind, they're moving, they're packing, their foot is out the door, right? And then the buyer comes along and says, oh, well, we want a new roof and we want fries with that too. So we help you get prepared so you know in advance that you're not going to have those issues, and you can plan ahead. Things like roofing, electrical, plumbing, sewer, septic. That is the way that you actually get the most money and you're prepared for a smooth, on-time home sale. So if you are thinking of making a move, give us a call at 719-301-3900 or visit barbhasthebuyers.com. Richard?
You're listening to Barb Schlinker of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. If you're interested in selling your home, you want to give Barb a call at 719-301-3900. We're talking, Barb, about how to prevent bad real estate agents from sabotaging a sale. Take a minute or more or two to explain that to us.
Well, I would recommend getting prepared, first of all, have a pre-inspection. And also, it's okay to have video around your home. That's really good intel to hear what the feedback is on the showings, because they'll stand out there in front of that doorbell and talk to their buyers about the house. And prepare for the showings, but don't make it available to be shown all the time. Everything I'm telling you is just opposite of what the industry does. And that is one of the ways that I create high demand for our listings. So if you are thinking of making a move and you would like to be one of those certified pre-owned homes, give us a call at 719-301-3900 or go to barbhasthebuyers.com. Richard?
You're listening to Barb Schlinker of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. If you're thinking of making a move, just call Barb, 719-301-3900, or visit barbhasthebuyers.com. A short break. When we come back, we'll be discussing the most likely price a buyer would pay for your home. You don't want to miss that.